Adeshema my mamu nyina aju kase ebo ayensa kan wo UTV so ena yede ebremu yede free ship house Abeka Junction Accra ena yeto amane mo afiefie mu won mo ehwe yen e wa abefo ntintan homa so won me a ehwe yen e free office ene emonti so nyina ye mamu nyina aju emamo akwaba na kase ebo yi enyumako bi adaroma na ansa na yenhwe de edimo akotini ebien mampanyi ahia National House of Chiefs me kye na nanom atena nkonwa won mo empanimfo no ana won mo committee no a won mo adwendwene ensem ehu
saso ena mampanyi John Dramani Mahama ene eye akwankojimako independent power producers for Asia say omo hawo no obehwe so obeso ano mampanyi
John Dramani Mahama kasade afa kantamantu eja a eto edwanimu ama wachire wahia mpanimfo wakachiro mo se obeboa se de be ya sa eja hihie eto ebetwa
saso ena honorable Kissel Atoforsen ono ena finance minister designate sabri wodi atudwa se eye eto a eha Ghanafo ededa eniema so no obehwe se ombe yini nyina efiri ho
na onmunyafo Kissel Atoforsen abra vetting committee na anim no wode atudwa ebi enso se obehwe se eto a ewo ho dada no wonfa bi emeka ho enti de ewo ho no se ye eno ane agege a obehwe se ye betimi aboa no na se sika no ye de adi dwuma ewo omanmu enyumako bi adaroma
saso aka
de baako
mamefa enhye honom yana na otumfo se tutu a otoso mienu so e de atudwa wo se eba eya akwankwe anase akwaniaba ehyen a eko eba a World Bank eka se wom ne wom eba bedi dwuma ama wom manfo akwaniaba die mu so aye hare no wo se sabri wom keka wom ho se de be ya ebetimi ewie peyo
enyumako bi adaroma
asena kese come this way chocolate drink edre numeradia me so bomo de na pebi gubo we are de maseda ebrebre me sanso and you2 I data salt and so wo ma eno ne nchene pa metimi akamfo dia ma wo ewo fiefie mu best point savings and loans sika krabia papa wo de ho kodan wo mu a wo ahotoso saso and best assurance ewo ho no so e de ma sabri kase no mu esukoni
me de akosi asapon mene
amina cheibuache
say your boy era ensem ni mu edia mampanyi John Dramani Mahama wakwa akopie mu anase yebeka se nananom atena nkonwa wonom empanimfo odi wanimu no committee no one omo edi ehiemu na ensem bia wode egu apono so a wone nananom edi hu nkomo ene se koba se ohene anase obrimpon etutu efra akonwa so a eya yeta hunu se entokwa pa asi ewo akonya kro no esese edi obi fufuro si so a na adane entokwa nam so ema nipa ni bikra etimi ehwere wonom enkwa enu nti ebeye se yebeye nhwehwe papa sa ne oma ni nyina eto ebetwa wone nananom hia no enkomo ni bia wo mo etwetwe no
all the security briefings I've got after December 7th, the issue of chieftaincy disputes has become a major issue. Anytime a chief passes away and a new chief has to be selected, invariably 2 rival chiefs or 3 rival chiefs suddenly appear. In the 1992 Constitution, it was decided from the unpleasant experiences of the past where government used to interfere in chieftaincy matters to leave the issue of chieftaincy completely to the chiefs themselves. That is the National House of Chiefs and the regional houses of chiefs. But then I do think that there are issues that come up, especially with the selection of new chiefs that create security crisis. And so when law and order breaks down, government is called in to protect the peace. And so I think that we must work with you to see how we can prevent this from happening. I remember that at a point it was decided that there should be a codification of the lines of succession. I don't know how far that project has gone, but it looks like the issue of disputes is becoming even worse by the day than it was before this codification took place. And so that's an issue that I think we should look at. As I said, we're going to intend to hold a constitutional review validation conference. And at that conference, the intention is to put the work of the Fiajo Committee, which was the initial work that was commissioned by President Atta Mills, and then also the work that was done by the Chieftaincy Committee under the commission of President Nana Akufo-Addo, and put all those on the table so that we see what is still relevant in terms of amending our constitution and what is no longer relevant. As you operate under a constitution, you find some loopholes and things that were not completely anticipated. And so for every country, after a while, there might become the necessity to make amendments to a constitution. And I just give the example of the impasse between Parliament and the Supreme Court as to who has the mandate to declare seats vacant and all that. And so if we're looking at the constitution again, that's one of the areas we should look and tighten, so that it makes it clear who has the constitutional mandate to do what. There might be other issues like that that we need to look at. There are various issues that I think that if we amend, it would make our constitution more of a living document than it is currently. We've operated under it since 1992, and I think that there are some aspects of it we must look at.
Sabre, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Ghana man penyini, any independent power producers for Nasi Trinity and IPP no, I put to Prusia moon, and in na say, was it was share the entia, Yenam Caneano, and Mrebiano, Edu how, Eba, Yesi Kanye Bejinaso, and I say in Yinaso, until more be as some no. Poti no more than fapem no as he said ya Ghana bit me enya hotoso no sisa base share IPPs na ye de womoka America dollar no 1.2 billion inti sabri kwan beso and mo be form bit me yisa how ni nyina every ho.
I thought 40% commercial and technical losses and continue to think that you have a viable business. And so something must give in that sector. And that's why I've said that we are looking at introducing private sector participation. If you remember, under the Millennium Challenge Compact, we had agreed that in the last portion of the distribution, billing, and metering, we're going to introduce private sector participation. And so I remember I signed the contract eventually, the compact, and we started the whole process with improving the national grid with the bulk supply points, the BSPs, and all that. But there was also a component for private sector participation in billing and metering. And so the new government took over, and that's when the whole PDS saga happened. Even as irregular as PDS was and as inefficient as it was, I mean, when PDS came, you could see an increase in the revenue that was being collected. And so if we do it more transparently, more fairly, more competitively, I'm sure that we'll get an efficient partner to join us in terms of billing and metering so that we can eliminate the huge losses that ECG is making. And so we're willing to take the bull by the horns and reform that sector of it, and also reform the governance in ECG so that it's running more efficiently than it does currently.
Mampenyi ene edwadifo wono monka bumuku ahodo no so ehyiaye na eno kasa edefa kantamanto eja a eto ho pepon boso me da na etoso mienu afiweye mu no enam so ema edwadifo mpempem eno mo hwiri sika ene neoma wonom ton ewodwa ahodo ni manase ewo kantamanto dwa no se de omasi achiche mu no eno na de edi kan wo ka kire omo se sese no wo mo ayen hyehyeye de agu apono so eno ene se womo ebehwe se odumde adwuma no beben edwa ahodo no de etoso mienu wonom de kamrese ebebobọ ho se de ebeya se koba se obi ebedi anyambra nsem bi ebia enye bibi no obi ye ma eja no ehye ya yetimi ehunu nipa wo ye sa abone no de etoso miensa o se obebo adwadifo no ama womo ese edwa ne bio.
The first things we need to do is to prevent these fire outbreaks from happening. In some cases, it might be due to wrong wiring and things like that, or use of inferior materials. But in some cases too, we can't rule out what we call arson, that is people deliberately setting fire in order to cause destruction. I remember it happened before in 2013 when I was newly sworn in as president. There were market fires in almost every market, which was quite unusual. And in many cases, the investigation showed that people deliberately set fire in order to just cause chaos and confusion. And so we need to look at several things. One, how to prevent it from happening again. Two, how to alleviate your plight. And three, how the market should be rebuilt. And so the first one is we held a meeting with the security heads today to see how we can tighten security around all the major markets in order to prevent any such occurrence. Just this morning we heard about Techiman Market, a fire in Techiman Market. So it looks like it's something that is going to continue, and so we need to take quick steps. And so I've asked the security to arrange with the various security services to tighten security around major markets. In addition to that, we are asking the National Fire Service in the nights, because these fires take place in the night, and that's what gives us room for suspicion that there are people who are deliberately doing this. In the daytime, you don't hear that there's a fire anywhere. How the fire can decide that it's only in the night that it ignites and burns, I mean, it's beyond anybody's imagination. And so the second is we are asking the fire service where there are major markets to deploy their fire tenders close to the markets in the night, so that in the event of a fire outbreak, they are right there on the scene to be able to quench it before it causes any damage. And so that's the second. We're also asking them to explore installing CCTV cameras at all vantage points of every market, so that if anybody is involved in setting fire to markets, we'll be able to see on the CCTV what is happening. So these are some of the immediate steps we think we should take in terms of prevention. And so soon, you, the leaders of the various market associations, the important markets, will be contacted by security to see how those arrangements can be.
Abusia for Sabre yakwako piemu ewo appointment committee no penyina wotie dwemu a empanyimfo etoto na no sisi Dr. Anyini ono ena minister designate for attorney general enti Sabre yeda ye ho ne yakọ ne yakutie ensem ne bi yaba ye beto akasems
of lawyers to which I belonged was being run by Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba. And when GPGC came into Ghana, he was a lawyer who was approached to help them navigate the process of company registration. And he was the one who registered the company for them. And he had the right to do so to earn a living. He wasn't banned from practicing because I was Deputy Attorney General. Subsequently, Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba left Ayene and Fele, now Ayene and Partners. And when he was leaving, because GPGC was his client, he took them along. Okay? At the time of their PPA, he was no longer a member of my law firm. And I had no dealings whatsoever with GPGC in my private capacity prior to being nominated and appointed Deputy Attorney General of the Republic. And my former boss, the Honorable Marietta Blue, was very gracious to me because I came from academia. And one of the things the subjects that I taught, and I'm sure you took my natural resources law course, I was the head of the natural resources law department that included, petroleum. So she, subject to reporting to her, I was in charge of the petroleum and energy aspects, of any transaction that came to the the department. Yes, so I issued a legal opinion on GPGC, all right, which was because the PPAs are standard, the provisions are standard. You can take any normal PPA, the variations are not many. So I issued a legal opinion for them. I mean, I signed it for and on behalf of the Attorney General. So technically speaking, it was Honorable Maretepru's opinion, not mine. But whatever the case, when the dispute started because of the actions and omissions of your government, I was no longer in office, and I never acted as a private legal practitioner in any of the disputes. Mr. Chairman, that's all I can say for now.
I believe you have exhausted your questions. It's now the turn of
thank you.
Jerry Ahmed Shaibu.
I was young boy from Crackson Sam Review. Ya mamo akwaba ye to akase bono eso. Osofo ayeyi no se omehwe sikasem so. Ononyafo keselato forcing. Na abro kotena mpanimfo anim no. Won ebisa no school feeding ho asem a wo kire se nyame ya adom na so omo gine tum na obeye osofo we sikasem so a. School feeding no wo behwe na wapejam na eno kra na duru ho no na ensem no aya anototo ene anu yiye. Na so wo kire se school feeding oba obeshe na wapijim amanwa yeye.
I said earlier that I come from a rural constituency, and I know the impact of school feeding program. My concern is that the amount you give today per child as the cost you pay to the caterer is not enough to pay to feed the child well. In fact, it is not enough even to buy egg. That's what it is. It's not enough to buy egg. And so we will not only sustain it, but we'll make it better. We will make it better. Because as I've said, our policies will be designed in such a way that those strong will preserve growth and protect the vulnerable. And the vulnerable is what we are talking about. Remember, the school feeding is not in Achimota. It's not in Achimota school. It's somewhere in the village. And for them, this 1 square meal or twice is enough.
Egusua ejina eye Dr. Kesel ato forcing na kachi hobium na ne abra okopie mu ewo vetting committee honom na no signed eto eja say National Democratic Congress NDC aban se bosha omu share say omu beyi eto ebinum bi te say E-levy ene betting tax no omu sign gino monas omu beyi ni nyina efi honom na afei wo kansi so say eye ya kwantempon so eye to anase to aye gizo no omu be sign ede aba Okasemi ye brand ode anu ye ema honorable laureate Koko ono eneye Etiwa West Mashebejeni.
I do not intend to run from it. I've written articles against the E-levy. I championed opposition against E-levy. I still stand by them. Mr. Chairman, the E-levy is neither a direct tax, indirect tax, or an excise tax. I don't know how to classify the E-levy as a tax practitioner. Mr. Chairman, it doesn't mean that I do not recognize that the E-levy brings in certain revenue. But the fact remains that the E-levy retards our progress towards a cash-light economy and the fintech. We need to abolish the E-levy. I have said, and I'm on record to have said, that given the opportunity to abolish the E-levy, I want to restate that position, that if approved as part of the first budget, I'll be privileged and I will announce that we will abolish the E-levy as part of our first budget, recognizing my earlier stance and the commitment that His Excellency the President Mahama said that as part of our 120 days agenda, we will abolish the E-levy. We stand by that, and I can assure you the E-levy will go within the 120 days calendar that we've announced. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Nyankwa eneko appointment committee ho sanso ena osafo a yaboni din se omehwe energy nsem so na yenkane a wonsem so etumi nyina ne naso yemfa anwo ni nyina ehyem hobi no eye onumnyamfo John Abdullahi Jinapo no no so ekoye no abra wonom etoto na no na no ena ode etudwa se sesi ai wo hwe nkrata mu no obu nkunta besi enra no eka yede independent power producers no ye ka ye de wo no 1.2 billion US dollars na ye keka eka ni nyina bomu dia ye opepepe miensa dollar bunabunu na chese $3 billion.
When we were leaving office, the debt stock consolidated was close to 2 billion. Fortunately, I have a document summary of energy sector debts and lenders. In August 31st, 2017, the ESLA PLC got a full audit of the entire energy sector debts. And Mr. Chairman, I refer to page 17 of the document. The total energy sector liability at the time was 9.4 billion cedis. They themselves used an exchange rate of 4.4. If you use this exchange rate of 4.4, the debt had then moved from about 2 billion to 2.1 billion. So let me put on record that as at this time when the debt was validated, the debt was 2.1 billion. Mr. Chairman, with the greatest of respect, I'm happy this question has come up because I've heard some people bundling figures of $5 billion. That is inaccurate. This public record is before Parliament and can be verified. Currently, I had the opportunity to chair the Energy Subcommittee of the transition team. At the last meeting, it came to light that the debt had ballooned to 2.5 billion as of 30th September 2024. Yesterday, we had a final meeting, and the reconciled figures, as I had it, was $3 billion. And so, as we speak today, the official figure I got from the Ministry of Energy, the Energy Commission, and ECG indicates that the debt has ballooned to 3 billion. But let me quickly add that the Energy Sector Levies Act raked in about 45 billion cedis. And so that paid part of the interest on the principal of 9.4 billion. But then
now
comes
sometimes, Mr. Chairman, sometimes he uses dollars and cedis. Can you be very consistent so that when you say 9, we know you are talking about either $9 billion or dollars or cedis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, when we're leaving office, as of 31st August 2017, the debt in dollars was 2.1 billion. As at yesterday, the outstanding debt is a little over $3 billion. Thank you.
Yagusua ejina oswafo aye toto na no so obra mehwe yenyina mkanea eso eye honorable Abdullahi Jinapo na ewo appointment committee ho no mko ya toto na no ho eno san edeko tu dwase se ba no eye ECG eye dwumaku a omo nso distributor na so omo maye enyina mkanea ya omo ba behwe se ebeye ankwankra bi ahyeso anasasa privatization no na omu yi abosome makomako nsia na so omo ho abosome nsia na omo ahyesa adwumedi na se.
So can you let us know the time frame for this engagement, because Ghanaians will be anxious to know what's the time frame you are looking at.
The preliminary work we have done is that my target is to push for 6 months. But I do not want to stampede the committee if I'm fortunate to get your approval. But give and take within this year, we should be able to do that because there are lessons that we've learned from the previous concession. And so that will be the building block. But like I said, we want to do that in a very transparent, open manner and get the best for this country. Thank you.
Yes, also Ediana Operation Recover All Loot. Ye twaniti aka ne oral wonum etu anamon. Enya de a wotena woto so. O se obekọ emiamia hodo na wonum akobisa de enti a enam so ama enei aban japade ahodo bi ewo ho aya tonton en se woncheni ana wonchemfa wonum ache ne sa wo mu gini nyina ne no ena wo mo kire se enya de a wotena se keke na emom sa abre ye de wo bo apro ewo emia hodo a wonum akwakopie mu ewo baabi a eno so wo mu susu se eho no de course wo ho no anye ekwampaso.
And this is prime land, state land. I mean, the impunity is mind-boggling. Whoever that private developer is, he must know that time is up.
Operation Recover All Loot, Oral Committee said he trying to see one. Now, what one said, Esa Kopie Mubiemu Agricultural Mechanized Center. Now, what you say, a month for BDD at the Aponsa Sinim. Nina Mono, Womo ehuni se eno so no entwa yie nti wo hwe ho nsenkaye na itimi nso aboa ma oman nsase enipa bi entabiri emfa enwasa wo musirimu wo kyeremu a woso asa kopie mu wo cantonment eno so kodu wo no no ene contractor fo bi kura chese wo mo ni bre abede a wo mo ye project bi wo so no nya asem keto akora bi wo kura mbo wo ma wie mbo dada me bi kura nso pe wo no mo a ye bia no se ye di AC NVTI ene abefo kwan so de ebie enso isi ano akwakodane ankurankura adwumadi ensem ena sisi a Northern Development Authority nso ababeda so AU village nso ababeda so ni nyina de onko huye wode mayen sei.
This became the latest state capture victim, where the Eswal government descended upon this place, removed the roofs, evicted those who were here, and a number of people are affected, not only the agric mechanization staff. NVTI, you saw that NVTI has also been asked to relocate. They have had their roofs, portions have been removed. We keep hearing the name Clement Jato, and that is the same person who the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been engaging to carry out their so-called redevelopment.
Actually, we are attachment to agric mechanization. We'll be working here since over 35 years. The place will be given to us with MUFA and the Ministry of Trade because we are the exporters group in Ghana. So I remember some 3 years ago, and then we get a notification that we have to move from the place. But they didn't give us any details. We'll be going front and back. So I went to Land Commission back and asked them, this is what is happening. And they said, they give the place to different persons.
If you can check, Regulation 153 of the PFM requires that they are kept for a minimum of 7 years. And if you can't keep it anymore as a ministry, department, or an agency, you call the National Archives. They could have brought in the National Archives to pack these things and preserve them. And you see, they have removed the roofing, and so the next rain means all these things are gone. So I will find this very, very unacceptable, and I think we may have to show to Ghanaians if this is how we should dispose of records belonging to the state.
With all that, they came somewhere around October and demolished the structure. Oh. So I went back to Land Commission, and the woman told me they had written, we're asleep. They came beating everybody in the house. Oh. We pleaded with them for us to, and the regional police commander also compromised his stand. He was just talking anyhow, beating everybody, took our mobile phones, hid the phones on the road, stepping the tenants that we should vacate the place. Finally, when national security came in, they said no, they don't own the property.
Afa yenya boafo nkrato a itosumienu emra sisia.
Ya mama kwaba yetwa kase no so na sabre ye kwakopie mu ewo Asante Mantemu. His Royal Majesty Otumfo Setutu a otoso mienu sabre wodi ato empanyimfo bi omufri World Bank ekosra no enim se abre a omo eba se omo ne omo eba be di dwumedie bi na sa dwumedie no eye Kumasi Urban Mobility Accessibility Project eno ebeboa omo potemu dada konia bedi
population wise, everything wise, the commercial hub of Ghana and suggestion rapid transport and having chosen I know JICA started with a feasibility some time ago, and then it's developed to the World Bank here where we can then put it to fruition. It's been on the drawing board for some time, 2015 and all that. The bureaucracy is something that I don't like at all, and therefore we have to push it now. The population has increased very much. We have all these transport increased very much. We have all these transport vehicles, different ones all moving, fighting for space. And that doesn't help with the economy at all, because if you calculate in terms of how many hours that it costs to do business, in terms of diesel, petrol, and what that it costs to do business, in terms of diesel, petrol, and all those things, you find that it's good. I don't know what is going to happen.
Creation of young people to have access to job. You know, we know that job can be generated everywhere, but it's generated essentially in big cities. So in the context of cities, Ghana, the role of Kumasi is unique as a city. Nipa be free at the bar room. And yes, society be free at the bar room. And yes, society and I was say yeah, boom. And yes, society and I was say yeah, bus rapid transit and no sabas about Kusiwa and Nipadodo I bet me a full and Nipadodo I bet me a full and at the Abak room no that's all. I feel so bas no a befa and unqua equanso exclusive lane. And to say sim exclusive lane. And to say sim from a fee at Josona Eba. In say you say woody wa minim say as a seminar me. 18 years kasam nko se nipa no doswa na afa blame game bam esenka we ye no wanye na se me nko na sese me ye dia meyire me ho no maye in terms of governance nipa no ko dosu pia etela bi a span of control chain of command we can we wonsu can we etada na emwa enti nipa no ya se ketewese enye dodun wura en obi wo ho a sabi na no de obegyina ba bi akasa ye hu mi pen me nkobodin na obi na oye writer yakoye ne minister obe minister no ekosi say adwuma no sabi trokan se utumi yi wo motuom yi a enkyere se obetumi ayi wuti so hu enti obi wo ho a na sabi abonten kasa no na no ye de ebi kura owonimde o krata certificate eche se ebi a waben enso hwe adekire a ye kire mpo obi wo ho a onya first class obi aya kwai enso onya class we kira dia na nkwa na efa eda nti knowing it is different and doing it is different enti yanhwe se nipa ne nkodo so pi na se iswa na ye hwe in terms of management o koma chief of staff adwuma nipa 122 ohwe omunyina sanhwe all state agencies so adwuma ne be bro no so dem mum se nipa kakra bi a ufa deputy minister Ofan deputy minister pe. So obeba na ketua, deputy minister ketua. Obeto kasa man wan to kra obeto mienu. Meboa. Obema ni secretary. Say ministers no kwa on ti deputy ministers no. Ade no waka mayati o mampeni John Dramani waka se enye mu nyina mo di CV aba no na mbenya adwuma o. Pi nya
Oswafo a omampanyini eyi ne se wofa bibie mu na yegi ne tuma wo meye fotonsamfo ema my Ghana Dr. Kese Atofosen na ne okopie mu ewo appointment committee na ewo na no tutu mu no ena odi tu dwa se National Democratic Congress NDC amayoku a sabre wo mu na tumi no ekita wo mu no wo mu sign de yakwantempo so eto a yegye eye rotos no omo de beba esan sa ban dada ne ba ye no ene obeyi free honom ene ode eto ahodo bi ba no omo de said the mpanyimfo eka ye no ansa na Ghana for the tumi mo no se omo ba pair omo emfa roto ne masabere omo bayi omo besan ede ababio.
The previous government indeed removed the roto, but getting to the end, they signaled that roto is coming back. Mr. Chairman, they submitted to Parliament, it was not laid, a concession agreement with the company to reintroduce the rotos. I have a copy. Mr. Chairman, the NDC indicated from day one that the roto will come back. We are not running away from it. In fact, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, at the time, the minority leader, said that the NDC promises to bring back the roto. The Hansard will bear us out. We have not run away from that fact. So I can assure you, we are a party that sticks to our promises. And whatever we have promised to do, we'll do just that. If the roto is a way to raise revenue, we'll raise the revenue. And the roto, if you use the road, you have to pay a toll. And it's all over the world. Ghana won't be the first country, won't be the last one. You have to contribute towards the road maintenance. And so the only thing is we have to collect the revenue effectively and efficiently so that we can plow it towards the maintenance of those roads. Thank you.
Abusia hase na yede kasebono esie na ye ka se apose papa ode betwi usin ama wo sin aye fita na afei enka bia ama wanum botohuo de enye ubogu obi so a enye kra nti uhia president papa bi na de atwinsia no pa ne anwumre ya se ye wo mu miensa nkwada de kra beka ho ye wo cavity fighter ye wo herbal ene ye wo triple action nkwada de no so na de ama omu na akoyie ede ama wo nti president de no anopa ene anwumre na aboa me mata de ehye edie eye clothing palace for ena wonum ede share me kama official anase casual jeans ene tops okwa onsa beka bi wonum o akra woni lava ene di enhwe nimu namba betimi afre ewo so eye 0271998313 0271998313
Saso na de share mata de eye Patmos clothing or Sacrament 13th Udu hot boss abo sign so ho no ma or ho kopie mo Instagram at Patmos clothing. Kodai no occasion bia wo kopie obepam so atade e dia ma sanso na cute cat palo ene she menwi kama o tesa no adjacent Ecobank enwi ahodo bia wo hia bia ko obeye ede amma.
Bidin dia kosi asapon nene
Abina Chei watch.
Ya mama mo ne hwa adehye.